Does anybody really know what kimchi means? So what is it? Can I get some participation? Robin, what is kimchi?
It's a Korean sauerkraut.
Yes, okay, so that is correct, but kimchi, and I don't know how many people actually know this, is actually an umbrella term for over 200 official different varieties of kimchi. So you can kimchi anything. Kimchi is a verb. I use it as a verb. You can kimchify different dishes, but you can make kimchi out of many different fruits and vegetables, pretty much anything. I personally have made kimchi out of green mangoes. I've made it out of eggplant, or aubergine in this country. You can make kimchi out of broccoli, cucumbers, radish, anything that will stand up to the fermentation process, even green apples, you can make into a kimchi. But kimchi is also like the spaghetti sauce of Italy, it is the spaghetti sauce of Korea. And that means that every single family, every single province, every single region has their own special version. So my kimchi in my family is going to taste different than my neighbor's kimchi and their neighbor's kimchi, etc. And if I'm in the north of Korea, it's going to taste a bit different than if you're in the south of Korea. So it is a very personal thing. People get together and make it every year. The only thing that I can kind of equate it to in the West is almost like a sewing bee. When you guys are quilting bee, where everybody gets together and sews and quilts together. So in Korea, everybody gets together and makes kimchi together. And they put all different types of ingredients. And people pass these recipes down through their families like heirlooms. Now kimchi, tonight we are going to make a cabbage version, so what Robin said. So most usually when people say kimchi, it commonly refers to the cabbage version, which in layman's terms does refer to a spicy type of sauerkraut. Sauerkraut, obviously the German fermented vegetable, and kimchi is our fermented vegetable. Both are cabbages, but we just add a whole bunch of smattering of other ingredients. Now, there are white kimchis also. Kimchi does not have to be spicy. So all your friends who are, scared of spice, they could still eat kimchi and still enjoy it. I personally love the spice, but kimchi's spice wasn't introduced until the 16th century. Chilies are not native to Korea. Kimchi actually dates back all the way to the Shilla dynasty and before 13th century, but originally it was just the preservation of vegetables. It was just a salted type of thing because Korea is very cold and we have 4 distinct seasons, as you probably know, and so there was a necessity to preserve vegetables and to preserve fruits, and that's how fermentation came along. Kimchi is an integral part of the Korean table. So much so that Koreans often say that they have not eaten unless they have kimchi. It is on the table for every single meal. You can go to Chinese restaurants and not have rice. You can go to Italian restaurants and not have bread, whatever. A true Korean meal is not complete unless you have kimchi on the table. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 365 days a year. And yes, breakfast, okay? And so it is consumed in copious amounts. I think in Korea annually, each person will consume about 36 kilos of kimchi in a year, which is a lot, and all different kinds. And so often when you sit down for a banquet in Korean dinners, there will be many different types of kimchi. And I'm going to keep talking, so why don't we cook as I talk, because I could talk forever. And so this is going to start out tonight with some cabbage. Now, this is Napa Cabbage, which is similar to Korean cabbage, but not entirely the same. If you get cabbages in Korea, they are much denser, harder, and massive. Each head will weigh about 5 pounds, which is how much is 5 pounds? like 3 kilos. So they're really, really, really big. They are denser, they're big and leafy, they're quite heavy, and they have a bit less water in them. Absolutely huge. So the cabbages that we get here are a little bit different. I find the Korean kimchi cabbage is actually a bit sweeter also. Has a bit more of a coolness and a crispiness about it. It kind of tastes like autumn if you were to put autumn into flavors. And that's why you make kimchi in the autumn time too, at the harvest season. So this cabbage has been brined already. Now we brine the cabbage for 2 reasons, because that is the start of the fermentation process, is the salt, but also we need to kill the bad bacteria that exists in the vegetables also. We want to promote the good bacteria, which Elaine will talk about more, and to promote your gut health, but we also have to make sure that the vegetable ferments and it doesn't rot. Okay, so this has been brining for about 24 hours, I think maybe longer, but you want to achieve anything between a 10 to 15% salt solution, okay, depending on how salty you want it. I think, what did you guys get in the end?
Yeah, I think about 10%. Yeah.
About 10%. Now, I use Korean solar salt, which I think is the best salt in the world, of course. It's full of minerals and all the things. But the salt that you have at home is always going to be different, so just taste it. Salt differs greatly across the globe, so just taste it. It needs to taste palatable, and then if it tastes palatable and it doesn't feel overly salty, just your best gut is your taste buds. And so this has been going for 24 hours, and it's also been draining. And so that's going to be a bit dry when we want to work with it. But you can try it at this point if you want to. So it should be nice and salty. Go ahead and try it. Salty, but not too salty, but has a nice crispiness about it. Right? A little bit of an addictive quality.
These are very important things, aren't they, to know what it should be like at each stage?
Absolutely. So kimchi is always made to taste. Okay, and this is also why my family's kimchi is going to taste different than your kimchi, and even tonight, everybody's kimchi at everybody's table will probably taste different. Now, there are a few fundamental ingredients when making kimchi. And so we're going to put everything in actually a food processor, because we're going to use ginger, very, very good antioxidant ingredient, lots of great flavor, as well as some nice fragrance, a whole smattering, almost an offensive amount of garlic. I like my kimchi quite punchy and garlicky, but if this
I was reassured that I needed plenty of garlic.
Plenty of garlic. If you don't want to use as much, don't use as much. It's absolutely fine. I have some friends who use half of this. I don't think it tastes as good, but I like my food to be quite punchy and fiery and vibrant. Like I always say that the food of a country reflects the people. I've mentioned Italy before. I feel that the Koreans are known as the Italians of Asia. We're dramatic. We wear our hearts on our sleeve. What you see is what you get. Fiery, punchy, spirited people, and so is the kimchi. So I like to put a lot of garlic into it. And then we also have gochugaru. So gochu means chili and garu means flakes. So I want you also just to try this, okay? So not all gochugarus are created equal. Some are spicier than others. We're going to use a coarse flake. You can see this, but look at this color. This is a beautiful, bright, natural color. And this is made from drying Korean chilies and only using the skins. And this is how it has that beautiful, beautiful color. And the Korean chilies are normally dried outside under the sun, and it gets this beautiful color and grounded down, just the skin. So you can try it. It's not too spicy. It's got a bit of earthiness to it, has a bit of fruitiness to it, doesn't blow your head off. If you don't want to use all of it, you don't have to, okay? Again, this is to taste, okay? If you don't, is it too hot for you? You could use a fraction of it if you want to. Okay, this is why it's important to taste your kimchi at every stage. And you have to understand that also once it starts fermenting, it's going to change during the fermentation process. It'll mellow out also, okay? And then we've got 3 other ingredients in these little jars, right? So we've got some anchovy sauce. This is similar to fish sauce. The Korean anchovy sauce is a bit funkier. Sometimes it's a little bit cloudier, it's pungent. It has a lot of great umami flavors. This is why Korean kimchi is not vegetarian, because we have fish sauce, and we also have another great ingredient called 새우젓. So this is, right? They look like krill, right?
Yeah, that's a new thing for me.
Yeah.
The first time I've seen those today.
And if you look at that, you could smell it. It's very salty. You can try it if you want to. It's very, very, very salty. But this is a fermented salted shrimp, okay? And this is the secret that really gives kimchi that deep, complex umami flavor. You really can't make kimchi without this stuff. And this is called, it's a type of jotkal. So this is a fermented seafood. Yeah, it makes your face go like that, right? It has that stink, it has that funk, okay? And that stink and that funk is what kind of, I'm seeing some reactions. That's what gives kimchi its great flavor. It's kind of like a ripened cheese, like a taleggio or a poisse or a goat cheese. It's got that funkiness that is also incredibly addictive later on when you taste it. So we're going to be adding this also. And then we have something else that's quite nice. It probably is labeled plum on the top of it. This is plum extract. This is what gives the kimchi its fruitiness, its fragrance. It mellows out some of the spices, a bit of sweetness. I love this ingredient in my kimchi. Not all kimchi recipes include it, but I think it's one of the essential things. And if you do try to buy some plum extract, make sure there's a pure one. It's 100% plums and doesn't have any type of corn syrup or sugar added into it. And then for tonight, we're also going to add some other vegetables. We have some spring onions and also some carrots. You can add radish. You can add chives, garlic chives, any type of vegetables that you want to, you can kind of put in there to bulk it up. So in your bowl, you are going to put in your garlic as much as you want to. I'm going to put all of it. And my ginger. Actually, I'm just going to put it all in here. And your food processors are located on the back wall. So
yeah, you'll have to go and use the processors at the back.
So you can make your mixture in your bowl, and then you're going to take it to the food processor in the back, and then you're going to blitz it all up and blend it into a paste. And so you're going to have to add your liquids into it also to get that paste going. And then Joe, Chef Joe. Yeah. And so then you could take turns. The stock.
Yeah, it's coming now.
Yeah, but you can have it on the back.
Yeah,
and you can loosen it on the back. Yeah. And then also on the back, when you're blitzing it all up, there's going to be some stock. And this stock is made, it's called a Dashima Stock, and that's made from seaweed, some more dried seafood, so dried shrimp, some dried anchovies, as well as kelp and whatever else you want to put in it. And so that's going to help loosen it up, and that's going to be on that back table, and there'll be some chefs assisting you. But again, do taste your paste, and if you want to add less of the chili, whatever, and you can give it a mix, but it's going to taste quite spicy and pungent. That's what you want, yeah. Okay. A stock?
Yeah, well, the stock is coming out now, guys.
Oh,
yeah.
sorry, your stock is, but you can put it on the back.
Put it on the back, guys.
Yeah, so you want, you're gonna, I don't have the chefs help them because you want to eyeball the stock. Yeah.
It's always something, isn't it?
Yeah. That's okay because you add it in here anyway. Because to just to let it down a bit. So you want to add enough stock into your kimchi paste so that it's spreadable. Because you're going to be spreading this paste all over your cabbage. So when you're in the back station and you start blitzing up your paste, you're going to add a bit of stock a little bit at a time.
So we got a question here, Judy,
yes,
from the
question.
chef at the Royal Household.
Yeah, you can put it in and you're going to blitz it up. Yep.
To be patient for a moment.
Take off.
Yep. There we go. Yeah, you can. Yeah. If you want to put all of it, you don't have to.
I think I added the chili too early.
That's okay.
Can we
It's fine.
blend it, yeah?
Yeah, you can blend it. Yep.
What's going on over here?
We're going to make a vegetarian option.
Yeah, we got a vegetarian option over here, Judy.
Vegetarian's fine. Okay, so those of you who have your paste, you can mix your carrots into your paste, which you've started doing already, and also the spring onions. So you have your paste. Now you can mix your carrots into. You can use your hands, or you can use your spatula. You want to just mix the carrots. Yep. You can drain them. You guys all have a colander. Just you don't want to get the water in. Yeah. It's like a paste. Yeah. And you can also put in the spring onions in there if you want to. Cut them down a little bit, you can. Make them skinnier.
Okay, listen up, everybody, yeah?
Is everybody back at their tables? All right, so those of you who haven't done it, drain your carrots and then add the carrots to your paste. And then add the spring onions to your paste. If you want to, you can cut your spring onions down a bit further lengthwise, make it skinnier, at least in half. And then just mix your paste in with your carrots and your spring onions, right? Now you can also taste again. Spicy, salty, fruity, sour, bitter, depth of flavor. They say that kimchi has, Korean cuisine is founded on the rule of 5. Every meal should have the 5 flavors, the 5 colors, and the 5 textures. And people often say that kimchi actually has all 5 flavors, colors, and textures in it as well. So you get all the complexity of tastes of salty, sweet, spicy, bitter, sour, everything. A bit of hotness, but it's addictive, right? It's a bit more if you want to have so this is kind of like a fresh kimchi paste. Now, what you're going to do on your cutting boards, make sure your cutting board is clean, is you're going to lay one of your brined cabbage heads down, the cut side up.
Okay, has everyone got their cabbage out?
Yeah. Now you can everybody's got your gloves on. Now, if we were in Korea, they would say we're wimps because we got our gloves on. But I might put my gloves on. But Korean, this way of making kimchi with your hands, there's a term called the sonmat, and sonmat means literally the taste of the hand, and that is something that you cannot replicate. And this is why a lot of people, when they make their kimchi, it has that touch that you make it, when your mom makes something, it tastes so much different. If your dad makes something, that is the magic touch of your hand, and that comes with the sonmat. It's the taste of the hand.
And what is the phrase again?
Sonmat.
Yeah, I think
it's literally hand taste.
Yeah, and lots of cultures have the same thing. I think it's the
Absolutely.
same. Growing up in London, I've got lots of cultures. I don't consider myself to be particularly British or English. I'm a London chef, which means I can sort of do what I want, really.
So you want to make sure when you're making this by hand, you give it that love. You're massaging and giving your cabbage a bit of love. So you're going to take a big handful of your paste, and starting with the outermost leaf, you're going to hold up the rest of it. You're going to spread the paste over the leaves. And you want to make sure you get the inside of the roots, and then you're going to peel each layer back, and then do the same thing, spreading it out. Just like that. You can get carrots in there, you can get some spring onions in there. You just want to make sure you get into the root, and you're going to keep doing that, layer by layer.
So much more. Just watching you do that today, that's not how I did it the first time.
Oh, no?
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure every bit of the cabbage is covered with this red paste. Each layer. And you can make, you can get some carrots in there, get the spring onions in there. And then, once you are done, I think actually we need the jars at some point. You're going to repeat for all 3 of your cabbage heads or 4 of your cabbage heads. So
sorry,
make
Judy,
sure
what did you
that
say about the jars?
I said we can get the jars out soon because we're going to start packing. So we're going to get this all covered. Even the little leaves on the heart, those sweet little leaves in the center, the heart of the cabbage. Make sure you get into the root, every single crevice. Right, just like that. And then once you're done, you're going to swaddle your kimchi. Swallow it, yeah. You're going to swaddle it like a baby, and you're going to take the outermost leaf and kind of wrap it around and make a little package like a little baby. And you're going to cradle it, your little kimchi baby. So then you're going to do that, and you're going to repeat for all of them. And then, yeah, I'll show you how to pack them. So you have these Kilner jars here.
Okay, if you can look at what's going on with the jars, please, everybody.
Yeah. Now this is quite messy. Now you're going to pack them.
Is everybody paying attention?
On the bottom. And you're going to pack them just on top of each other. Just like that. Pressing down firmly. And then you're going to pack all of your cabbage heads in there just like that. And feel free to, if you have some extra paste, put some paste in between. Fill up the holes in there. Put some extra carrots in between. And then put in another layer.
I just wondered, Judy, is there anything else, if you haven't got a Kilner jar, you could use?
Oh, yeah. So I actually don't even use Kilner jars. I use plastic containers.
Okay, that's good.
Now, the one thing that you want to be careful with your fermentation process, okay, so you can use jars. A lot of, yes, question. No, it shouldn't be watery. The paste? No, it shouldn't be liquidy. Oh, it's the brine. Yeah, so get rid of the brine. Yeah, it should have been drained. Yeah, your cabbage should be dry. So in Korea, everybody has kimchi refrigerators. And the kimchi refrigerators are set at the perfect temperature for fermentation. And they also keep the kimchi from smelling up the rest of your food, because kimchi is potent. It will invade your refrigerator. It will make it smell. It'll make anything around it smell and taste of kimchi, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your point of view.
Like something from Doctor Who.
Exactly.
Listen up, thank you.
So as you're packing your kimchi away, now the one thing that you have to be careful, because these are glass jars, is that because your kimchi is alive, it can explode. Okay, so in the fermentation process, it ferments and it releases carbon dioxide, okay? You have to burp your kimchi. You have to open the jar and let it breathe, otherwise it will explode. And that'll be a disaster in your fridge. That's happened to me, okay? So that is a very important thing, which is why a lot of times, like, you can buy kimchi vessels that are, or fermentation jars that actually have some type of aeration. In the olden days, in Korea, they used to ferment kimchi in clay ceramic jars called ongi. And they used to bury them outside, and they would bury them because obviously if you put something underground, it's at a cooler temperature. The best temperature to ferment kimchi is around, gosh, this is my American, it's 65 degrees Fahrenheit. It is in the recipe what it is in Celsius. And if it's too hot, it'll ferment too quickly and become sour. If it is too cold, it doesn't develop all that nice bacteria and all that funky flavor. Taste your kimchi after a few days. Keep tasting it. You're going to notice that it changes. You can press it down and release the bubbles, you'll see that it'll start bubbling. And try it. Now you can put some of the extra paste on top. And so because kimchi was always made outside, and a lot of the ingredients like the gochugaru, the chili flakes, are also dried outside, in Korea we always say that the secret ingredient in Korean cooking are the sun, the moon, and the stars and the wind, because it is so much of it has to do with just preparing things outside, fermenting outside, and adding all of nature's elements. So that's actually the other 5 of the rule of 5, or the 5 elements that go into Korean cuisine and cooking. Yes?
How often do you need to burp your kimchi?
I would do it at least once every 2 days, if not every day. Just give it a bit of a breathe. It depends how fast it ferments. Now, you would leave it at room temperature for about,
Listen up, guys.
Okay. So you guys all have the recipe on your table, so take the recipe, okay? It explains it more. But I usually leave my kimchi out at room temperature for anywhere up to 2 weeks, depending on the weather. It's a bit chilly these days, so you can leave it out maybe even longer, but taste it. Once it has the flavor that you like, you can put it in the fridge. The fridge does not stop fermentation, it'll slow it down. It'll keep on fermenting. Now, the big question I always get asked is that, does my kimchi ever go bad? Not really, okay? People will eat kimchi 2-3 years old. It is totally normal. Once it starts getting funkier and more ripe, you start cooking with it. And this is where kimchi makes any dish taste better. And in Korea, we will make soups and stews with kimchi. We will steam it with fish. We will grill it on barbecues. We will fold it into pancakes, into dumplings, into fried, and anything like fried little fritters. And it really makes, I'm seeing kimchi show up on so many different menus around London. Even my local cheese toasty shop has a kimchi cheese toasty. It's fantastic. Kimchi is great with cheese. So I even do fish and chips with a kimchi tartar sauce, which is fantastic. So you mix kimchi into the tartar sauce. And so it is truly a versatile.
Does that really work? That sounds fantastic.
It's so good. You just give it a bit of a drain and you chop it up, and instead of all the capers and the pickles and groceries, you use kimchi. So
I'll definitely do that this week.
And kimchi béarnaise is fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So you can take so many of the recipes that you're making at home and then make kimchi. And
I
you can
quite like the reference to funky. Funky sounds to be the thing.
It is funky. It is funky, has a deep flavor, it is complex, and that comes from all of the great fermented ingredients. The anchovy sauce, the 새우젓, the salted shrimp, all of that coming together makes this dish taste extra special.
It's amazing. I've seen so many different recipes, and even your recipe today wasn't the recipe I made last time.
So you can kimchify anything. So I encourage you guys all to take your kimchi home, let it ferment. You can even see the different degrees of the different colors of everybody's kimchi. Some people are quite light, some people are quite dark. Some people, everybody's kimchi tonight is going to taste different, which I think is something beautiful and wonderful. Yeah. So throw it on top of anything. I was mixing kimchi with hummus, and it was delicious.
Okay, so are you ready to close it up now? Or
I think
so.
So, any other questions?
Has anybody got any questions at all for Judy?
I would love, yes, question.
Would Savoy cabbage work as the Korean cabbage?
Savoy cabbage will work. You can absolutely make kimchi out of cabbage and Savoy cabbage. It will not taste the same. It will not taste the same. Savoy cabbage is quite dense and harder. It's a different texture. Yeah. Yeah. I would like to hear from a couple people what they would like to put kimchi on. What they would like to, what would you foresee yourself putting kimchi on? Scrambled eggs, pizza,
Has anybody
hamburger?
got anything they'd like to put kimchi on?
Scrambled eggs, yeah. Anything, in an omelet. It'll be great in an omelet with some cheese and ham. Any? Pizza? Okay. Fish? White fish. Be great. Anything else? Yeah? Maybe into a pasty or a steak pie, a little kimchi on the side?
I think a pasty, yeah. I think I might go for a pasty.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for making kimchi with me.
Thank you, Judy.